come to restoration. We come to restoration. We come to restoration. Be healed, says the Lord. We come to restoration. We come to restoration. We come to restoration. Made whole, says the Lord. Oh, be restored. Be healed. Be made whole.
All right. Well, hello to my audience and welcome. I am Erica Spence, the CEO and president of Recon to Restoration. And the title of this show, if you've tuned in, is Healing the Broken Pieces. And I am so excited. I have a very special young lady on with me today, Mrs. Mia Williams, who is the CEO of Grace After Fire, just a wonderful organization that's serving our military women veterans and their families. And I want you to listen carefully to what Mrs. Mia is going to tell us today so that you will understand who they are, what they're doing, and then I'm going to ask you to act. I'm going to ask you to respond. I'm going to ask you to help. So without any further ado, I want to introduce and welcome to the show, Mrs. Mia Williams. Hello, Mia.
Hello, Erica. Thank you so much for having me. Great to be here.
Oh, thank you for spending time with me. And I really want you to just speak from your heart and to tell the audience a little bit about your story.
Sure.
And getting to this point of being the CEO of Grace After Fire, and then about your services, the women that you work with, and then finally how they can help you with this work, this service that you're doing.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for having me. Just so honored to be here. So just a little bit about me. Grew up in a small town in Cambridge, Ohio. There was one high school, no Walmarts, not even, I think, a Dollar Tree. But grew up in Cambridge, Ohio with my three sisters. Graduated high school, attended Ohio University for my first year. And I quickly realized in my first year that I was more interested in what was going on outside the classroom than I was in the classroom. And I found myself on academic probation my first year of college. That same year, the summer of that same year, I got a nudge. I didn't realize what the nudge was, but I had a prompting to go sign up, go to the military, right? Go to the recruiter's office. Now, I will say this, in Cambridge, Ohio, there wasn't much really going on. There wasn't much that people did. They actually left Cambridge to find their careers and those types of things. And so I had a nudge. I had a nudge to go to the recruiter's office. So just like any good child, right? I went to my mom and my dad separately and shared with them this idea that came to me. I didn't know where it came from. Also, that was unusual for me to go and get their opinions because as a child, I just kind of did my own thing and made my own decisions. And so I went to my mom and my dad separately the summer of my freshman year in college. I asked my mom, "Wait, what do you I have this idea of going to the military. What do you think?" And I was waiting for some kind of wisdom. I was waiting for some motivation to say, "Yes, you can go do that." But I didn't receive that. I received the opposite. I was actually told that I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't do well. And I probably shouldn't bother going. So I took that, I put that in my pocket, and I went to my father. And I said, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about me going to the military that just came to me? What do you think?" And just like a clockwork, he said the same thing. I was hoping for wisdom, but he gave me the same words, that you wouldn't make it, you wouldn't do well. So I took that and I put that in the other pocket. And I did like what any obedient child would do, listening to their parent. I took that and I ran straight to the recruiter's office and I signed up with the I signed up with the Navy when I was 19, and so I joined the Navy when I was 19, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I had two jobs in the Navy. I worked on board the flight deck of the USS Baton, and as you know, it's a community of it's male dominant, right? The community is, and my job was, Erica, it was male dominant, and I did that for 3.5 years, working on board the flight deck, part of the crash and salvage team. So any mishaps that happened, we were the first team to respond to that. I quickly realized that I didn't really want to do that the rest of my time in the Navy, so I switched my job to become a Navy journalist, and I did that for 3 years at the Navy Public Affairs Center. Needless to say, you know, despite what my mom and dad said, I did very well in the military. I learned a lot of who I was, and I grew a lot when I was in the military. I got out in 2006. At that time, I was pregnant with our second son, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a year. And anytime you have worn the uniform for 6 years, I did it for 6.5 years. Anytime you wore the uniform and then take off the uniform and find yourself at home, that's a humbling experience. Being a stay-at-home mom. And so during that time, I believe that in everything that we do and everything that I've done, that I've learned a little more about who I am. And so being a stay-at-home mom, I learned about what I liked and what I didn't like. After a year of being a stay-at-home mom, I found myself searching for a job. And for me, it was very easy. However, when veterans come out of the military, it's not as easy. But I found a job very quickly after I decided to go back to work after that year. And I found myself at KinderCare Learning Centers as part of the leadership team. I would love to sit here and say that that was so easy for me, but it wasn't. I had to learn how to be a veteran civilian, taking off that uniform and putting on civilian clothes. You have to find who you are. When you're wearing that uniform, you have purpose, you have meaning. When you take it off, it's almost like someone strips your identity. You have to refine who you are. So during my 5 years of almost 6 years at KinderCare Learning Center, I was finding my way. It was almost like agitation. Taking a rock through the process of becoming a diamond, the agitation. That's what was happening to me at KinderCare Learning Center, just trying to find my way and find out who I was during that time. After 6 years of almost 6 years of KinderCare Learning Center, I knew that was not going to be my end. I knew there was more for me, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I would be doing next. So when my time was winding down, that same nudge that I received to go into the military, I received that same nudge telling me that your time is ending at KinderCare and something bigger or something more is going to open for you. Be watchful, be alert. I didn't know at the time that it was the Holy Spirit. Now I know that's exactly what it was. So 6 years, my time ending was at KinderCare was ending. And then a door opened for me to become the outreach coordinator for Grace After Fire. After a year and a half, I became the program director for Grace After Fire. And shortly after that, and now I currently sit as the president and CEO of Grace After Fire. In this role, I continue to serve my passion of service and impacting not only the community, but women veterans in this community.
Mia, that is your description of, kind of moving, having these experiences after the military, I think speaks of a transition that many have gone through in finding ourselves and finding our purpose. Because as you know, I also served in the military, and that was a very kind of difficult transition, because for how many ever years you're wearing that uniform, you're right. That uniform gives you purpose. That uniform kind of gives you almost, some status and tells others who you are and what you do. And all of a sudden you come out and nobody cares about that uniform you had on and what you did and what, they may say, thank you for your service,
Right.
But the rest of it is just like, okay, you're just like everybody else. And I thank you for saying that the person giving you that nudge was Holy Spirit,
Mhm.
leading and guiding you, even from the beginning of having both of your parents say, no, don't go, you're not gonna make it. That was a preparation, it sounds like to me, for you to be where you are now, because you had to show yourself as a woman, because I mean, I'm sure while you were on that deck with mostly men, they didn't ignore the fact that you were a woman, and then questioning whether or not you can do the work, and are you going to be able to do things and be part of the team. And then your transition, I think, to do journalism just sounded like you were practicing your gift. we,
Absolutely.
we can talk about that a little bit later, but you were practicing your gift. So God allowed you to stand out in the midst, and probably with so many different types of challenges. And then he allowed you to start practicing your gift.
Mhm.
Then he brings you out and he moves you up into this organization. So you actually got a chance to see this organization from the outreach coordinator all the way up now to the CEO. So by the time you got to be the CEO, you really had a great perspective and almost a 360 view of this organization. So you knew the strong points and you knew some of the weaknesses and
Mhm.
what we needed to do to grow, to serve,
Yeah.
to expand. So tell us now a little bit about Grace After Fire itself, the organization.
Sure. Yeah. So what we do at Grace After Fire, so one unique thing about our organization is that we focus and serve the woman veteran and her family. There's so many male dominant organizations out there. We are one of 5 women veteran organizations that focus on the woman veteran. And so we're unique in that my entire team are all women veterans. So we really get to, I'm going to get into our services in a minute, but we really do get to serve from a different perspective than most people do, because we can relate to that veteran that's being served. So the services that we provide for Grace After Fire, our whole mission is to helping the woman veteran help herself. And we do that by providing the tools for that woman veteran to transition. And I say transition kind of loosely, because someone's transition may be 5 months, 5 days, 5 years. I like to look at it like this, Erica, that we're all always transitioning. We never arrive until we get to heaven. So we're always transitioning. And what I mean by that, we can be out for 5 years and then we hit a roadblock and maybe we lost our job as a woman veteran, and then we need employment. So we're transitioning from being employed to unemployment to finding another job. So Grace After Fire helps that woman veteran by providing a community resource connection. So if she's unemployed, we help her connect to employment. Our main bread and butter, if you will, is our peer-to-peer support program. We believe here at Grace After Fire that the first step to healing is to talk about it. So Grace After Fire provides women veterans a safe place to come and connect with other women veterans. The camaraderie is built, connection is built. The different conversations that are taking place or discussions in these peer-to-peer support programs, we talk about time management, grief and loss, self-esteem, connecting with your community. We believe that there's power in community, and so we give women veterans that safe place to come and regain community. Again, when you're wearing the uniform, you have a division, you have a unit, and so you have people around you. When you take off that uniform, you're trying to find your way again. And so Grace After Fire really gives women veterans a place to come to call their own. The second program that we have is our financial basic needs assistance program. Erica, 90% of our calls are from women veterans who are in need of some kind of financial assistance. So Grace After Fire provides $1,500 to cover rent, mortgage, moving costs, utility bills, and car insurance. And so this program really keeps women veterans off the streets and into their homes. And we keep lights on in their homes, and we make sure that they have their vehicle by providing that car insurance assistance to them. Our third program is our social events and networking events. Now that we're in COVID, our social events look a little differently. Instead of in-person workshops, we have virtual workshops, from our writers workshops to art to wellness to our peer-to-peer support programs. They're all done now virtually. Again, giving women veterans a place to come and connect. Connection is so important. I believe that we were created to connect with other human beings, to connect with other people. That is how our purpose comes out. That's how I believe that we're fulfilled, is when we are walking and doing the will of the Father, the will of God, and our purpose. And I think it takes unity to do that. So we give women veterans that place to connect with other women veterans. Our fourth program is our Women Veterans Retreats. We provide right outside of Abilene in Texas, outside of Abilene. It's a beautiful ranch, 2.5 days. We bring 27 women veterans out, and we put them in this private ranch with other veterans. And, really, Erica, what I have seen over my time here with Grace After Fire is that veterans come into those double doors at the ranch. They come in tired, they come in exhausted, they come in with the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they come in as strangers to one another. But when they leave after the 2.5 days, they are refreshed, they are renewed, they get a new sense of purpose and hope and connection, and they now become, it's almost instant, they become family with the women veterans that they have met during that time. So we are really, it really is a time for women veterans, again, to come in and connect with other veterans. Activities that are conducted at the retreat ranges from archery to fishing to equine therapy to art therapy. Our peer-to-peer support program is conducted there. Again, it's really just to help the women veteran refresh and renew and become the highest version of herself. And our fifth program, as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, is our community resource navigation. We connect those women veterans with our community. And so if a women veteran is in need of employment or housing or financial assistance or the like, we connect that woman veteran with those resources right there in our community.
I'm gonna talk about a subject now that is so pervasive in our military community, and that is suicide, post-traumatic stress disorder, those types of issues that our military men and women are really suffering through. And with all of the research and the monies and our VA system and all of the people that are engaged, and I think much more today than it used to be, how has Grace After Fire had to deal with this topic, and either the women that you serve or the resources that you make available to the women that you serve?
Sure. Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a real topic and a real issue that we face as women veterans, right? And so what we have seen in the work that we are doing is that the women veterans who come into our programming, come into our services, have, not all of them, but a large percentage of them have contemplated suicide. But what we have learned from them is that they come in, before coming into a group, before getting connected with a support system, before getting connected to Grace After Fire, they had contemplated suicide. But when they're in that group, something changes, Erica. Again, having that connection with other people, getting a real sense of hope and connection with themselves, and realizing they do have a purpose outside of the uniform, those thoughts of suicide quickly go away, right? Because they have now have a sense of belonging. They have received love and affirmation from people who have similar experiences, i.e. veterans, other veterans. And I believe that's what we're missing as a community, is that a sense of belonging, right? A sense of, I have value. And so when a woman veteran comes into our programming, we give them that. We give them that sense of hope. And we also connect them with other resources that we don't provide directly, like Mental Health of America. We're able to connect them with other organizations to provide those services, or we would encourage them to go to the VA if they have not already. But again, so I really believe that not all times, but oftentimes when a person is contemplating suicide, and this is from my experience, is that it's really sometimes a call for help. They're needing help. They want love. They need attention. They need someone to come along and say, I've got your back. I'm here for you. You're not alone. And so we give them that sense of camaraderie from our services.
I would imagine too that a lot of these women veterans also have children.
Yep.
So is there anything special that you have that would involve the military member and their children?
Absolutely. So again, the unique thing about Grace After Fire is we serve the woman, and her family. So all of our programs are created around the family unit. So we make sure that the family, the children, can be a part of our events. The only thing that they're not part of, if you will, is our Women Veterans Retreats. However, now that we're virtually, the child can certainly be part of the conversation of the tabletop. But we do focus, again, we make our events centric around the family unit. Also, when we're part of a bigger event throughout the year, again, COVID-19 kind of shut down a few events for us. But when we're part of bigger events, childcare and child activities are always included in those different events when we have an in-person event.
And now, Mia, if you could share with our audience some of the things that you're planning, maybe for the new year that's quickly approaching.
Yes. So yeah, you're right. The new year is quickly approaching. It is quickly approaching. So one thing that we're having for the new year is, because we couldn't have it this year, we are having our Women Veterans Retreat in April of 2021. That is the first weekend in April. We do have some workshops coming. Going to be brand new in January and throughout the year. And we do have an event coming up with the Sugarland Skeeters in June, the end of June. We do connect with the Sugarland Skeeters where we celebrate the woman veteran, and it's a whole lot of fun. Baseball and veterans, you can't go wrong with that. So yeah. So, and then also, anybody who is listening can also go to our calendar, go to our website at www.graceafterfire.org, and the list of our new workshops will be listed there currently and into the new year. All of our events that are coming up will be listed in that calendar as well. So I encourage anybody who is interested, anybody who is listening and watching, that they go to the website and sign up for those upcoming events and upcoming workshops.
I just want to also let the audience know that all of your contact information will be part of this interview. So if they hear something that they want to participate in, or maybe they're a woman veteran and they need your services and they're local, that they can connect with you, we will make sure that we have all of your contact information so that people can connect with you. Can you, Mia, just let our audience know, how can we help you? How can they help you? What is it that you really need for people to do to assist Grace After Fire?
Absolutely. So thank you, Erica. So we can all, monetary donation is always welcome. Anybody can go to our website and make a monetary donation right there on our website. Also, we're also always looking for volunteers. So any upcoming in-person event, we ask for volunteers to come and help set up and be part of those different events. Again, that information can be found on our website. Now that we're in this pandemic and the whole world has changed, some of our volunteer efforts that we are looking for are social media, people who have a social media background, a marketing background, maybe an admin background. And so again, if you are looking to volunteer and serve, you can also go to our website, and the information about volunteering is on our website.
That's wonderful. And before we end, I have to let the audience know that all of this package that you see for Mrs. Mia, there's another gift that she has, and she talked about it earlier with her experiences working as a journalist, working in the military, and Mrs. Mia is actually in the process of writing, I want to say books, because it's going to be more than one. She is in the process of putting down, I think, some wonderful life experiences, lessons learned, things that other women, again, can benefit from. So I would say that when you get to that point of releasing that book, I would love to have you back. And maybe this time we just talk about your book. But I would love to have you as a guest again, just to share, because I think all of it helps for people to know that they're not by themselves.
Right.
Are there any last thoughts that you would like to tell our audience?
I think you can just see it all written all over my face. My last thoughts as you were talking, Erica. What I wanted to share, what I wanted to say is that when God puts something in you, whether it is when you were 5 or 25 or 40, whether it's to write a book or start a podcast or a movie, God will give you that wisdom to do that thing. And even though it may not happen when we think it's going to happen, like myself writing a book, it will happen. And God will give you the resources and the wisdom to do to do that, to do whatever it is that it is. So before I even went into the Navy, I always wrote. I was a little girl writing. I was writing poetry and I was writing lyrics to songs that had not yet existed. And when God gave me the opportunity again to be a journalist in the Navy, it just felt right. It just felt right to do that. And that fast forward 20 years and being out for all this time, I am now, to your point, Erica, writing that book. So I would say to anybody who is watching and listening is that every single person who is watching has a gift. And don't allow anybody to tell you differently. Just keep going, keep moving. It will come out. And you will change lives just by being who you are.
That is beautifully said. And again, I just want to thank you for spending your time with us. This is Mrs. Mia Williams, the CEO of Grace After Fire. Again, please go to the website. It will be on right after this interview, and act. They're doing some great work for our women veterans. Join them. They need your help. Mia, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Erica. Pleasure to be here.